Russia's military leadership has withdrawn its offices in the Russian-annexed city of Kherson across the Dnieper River in anticipation of an advance of Ukrainian troops, the Institute for the Study of War think tank said Sunday. To delay the Ukrainian counteroffensive as the Russians complete their retreat, Moscow has left newly mobilized, inexperienced forces on the other side of the wide river, it added. The troop movements come as the Ukrainian military said its forces have continued their counteroffensives in the Kherson and Zaporizhzhia regions. On Saturday, Russian-installed authorities in Ukraine told all Kherson residents to leave immediately ahead of the expected action by Ukrainian troops to take back the city. Kirill Strumusov, deputy head of the Russian-backed regional administration in Kherson, said Sunday that over 20,000 civilians had evacuated to the left bank of the Dnieper River. He said that while Ukrainian forces were trying to push their offensive on the right bank, Russian defensive lines have been reinforced and the situation has remained stable. Kherson has been in Russian hands since the early days of the 8-month-long war in Ukraine. The city is the capital of a region of the same name, one of 4 that Russian President Vladimir Putin illegally annexed last month and put under Russian martial law on Thursday. On Friday, Ukrainian forces bombarded Russian positions across the province, targeting pro-Kremlin forces' resupply routes across the river and preparing for a final push to reclaim the city. The ISW think tank also said Sunday that Russia's latest war strategy of targeting power plants in recent days appears to be aimed at diminishing Ukrainians' will to fight and forcing Ukraine's government to spend additional resources to protect civilians and energy infrastructure. It said the effort was unlikely to damage Ukrainian morale but would have significant economic impact. The Russian attacks on power supplies forced the emergency suspension of fertilizer production at a major chemical plant, Rivnezit, in northwestern Ukraine. The company said Sunday the suspension is not posing an environmental risk. The mayor of Enerhodar, home to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, reported an attack on a hotel used by Russian occupying forces and those who collaborate with them. It's unclear if anyone was hurt. The Ukrainian military said Sunday that Russian forces are now mostly on the defensive, but are keeping up offensive attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure and on several towns in the eastern Donbas area. 9 regions across Ukraine, from Odessa in the southwest to Kharkiv in the northeast, saw attacks again targeting energy and other critical infrastructure over the past day, the Ukrainian General Staff said. It reported a total of 25 Russian airstrikes and more than 100 missile and artillery strikes around Ukraine. Ukrainian counteroffensive forces in the Kherson and Zaporizhzhia regions, meanwhile, targeted Russian-held facilities, notably in the town of Nova Kakhovka, and carried out 17 airstrikes in the overall campaign, according to the Ukrainian General Staff. In a telegram post Sunday, the Ukrainian military claimed to have destroyed 14 Iranian-made Russian drones over the past day. Russian S-300 missile strikes overnight hit a residential neighborhood in the city of Mykolaiv, injuring 3 people, according to the Ukrainian military's southern command. 2 apartment buildings, a playground and a warehouse were damaged or destroyed, it said in a Facebook post. Images posted on Telegram by local media and officials showed an apartment building with one side sheared off, and piles of rubble amid puddles on the adjacent ground. Governors of 2 Russian regions that border northeastern Ukraine said defensive lines are being built, apparently in anticipation of cross-border attacks as Ukrainian troops advance. Kursk Governor Roman Starovoyt said Sunday that 2 defensive lines in the region already have been built and a third one will be finished by November 5. Belgorod Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov said that defensive lines were also built in his region. On Saturday, he posted pictures of lines of pyramid-shaped concrete blocks intended to block the movement of armored vehicles. Elsewhere, Ukraine's security service said Sunday it has detained the longtime chief of a major aircraft engine factory, accusing him of collaborating with Russia by supplying military equipment for Russian attack aircraft. Vyacheslav Bohuslayev, president of the Motor Sick plant in Zaporizhzhia, and another top factory official were charged with collaboration and assisting the aggressor state. The Ukrainian Security Service (SBU) said in a statement that the two are accused of colluding with a Russian arms maker close to the Kremlin to supply Ukrainian-made engines and spare parts to Russian forces. The SBU described a complex scheme using intermediaries in 3 countries to evade sanctions against Russia. Motor-Sich is one of Ukraine's leading manufacturers and has been a key maker of aircraft engines since Soviet times. Its facilities have been repeatedly targeted by Russian strikes during the war.